Happy Wednesday, everyone. Thank you for joining us. As you're coming into the webinar, please feel free to put in the chat where you're joining us from. We'd love to see that. And we highly encourage you to use your emojis at any time during this webinar, just to, if anything resonates with you, feel free to put some smiley faces, some clapping hands, some celebration emojis. So definitely encourage that during the webinar. And just a couple of notes before we get started. The webinar is being recorded and will be emailed to attendees afterwards. We encourage you to ask questions in the chat and feel free to use your emojis. Again, sorry about that. But yeah, we will be saving the questions for Q&A at the end, and so we'll have plenty of time for that. So feel free to put questions at any time during the webinar. We are super excited to welcome you to the very first CT Talks Episode 1, Women in Transportation, Meet the Division of Equipment, and can't wait to introduce you to our amazing panelists. A little introduction of myself. My name is Laura Estrada Adams, and I am a Strategic Communications and Outreach Coordinator coming to you from Caltrans headquarters here in beautiful Sacramento. Next, I'd like to hand it over to my amazing colleague, Harriet, to do an introduction and tell you a little bit more.
Yeah, so welcome everyone. As Laura said, we're really excited to be kicking off the first CT Talk. So thank you all for your interest. Thank you to our panelists for being here. My name is Harriet Simpson. I'm the Strategic Communications Manager here with Sacramento headquarters, Division of Human Resources for Caltrans. And yeah, CT Talk is all about learning about the people of Caltrans. As we say in our little statement, insightful conversations connecting you with the people. So we're here to learn about them, learn about the amazing programs, the diverse work that we do, and really expand your knowledge of Caltrans and what you know it to be and what it really is. There's so much more to it than often meets the eye. So with that, again, welcome to our wonderful panelists. We have Dawn Foster, our Deputy Division Chief, Christy Armstrong, our Chief of Staff, and Rochelle Durham, our Equipment Material Manager, all within the Division of Equipment. Welcome, ladies, if you wanted to say hello real quick.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, guys.
Happy to be here.
So, yeah, thank you so much again for being here. We're really thrilled. So we received a couple of biographies from our panelists, so be pleased to share this with you right now. So Dawn Foster is a supervising transportation engineer and deputy division chief here with the Division of Equipment for Caltrans. Her work involves managing zero-emission vehicle charging infrastructure as Caltrans transitions our fossil-fueled fleet vehicles to electric. She came to this position with over 30 years of Caltrans experience, most of which was in transportation design and project development. Her most recent experience has been in program and asset management, which has prepared her for this newly established program for Caltrans. Thank you again, Dawn, for being here. We're thrilled to have you.
Thanks.
Next up, we have Christy Armstrong. Christy is the Chief of Staff for the Division of Equipment, who serves as a project manager, a people manager, and a strategic advisor to a leader. Christy has been with Caltrans for 2 years and with the state of California for 13 years. Her career focuses largely on project management, policy, legislation, and she has been able to apply those skills to her role within the Division of Equipment. Thanks, Christy, for joining us.
I'm
loving all the emoji love happening right now. This is so nice. So keep it coming throughout. This is great. And lastly but not least is Rochelle Durham, who is the Equipment Material Manager 2 for the Division of Equipment in our Sacramento headquarters shop. Her job is purchasing all of the necessary parts to build the new equipment on the various production runs at headquarters shops for the various Caltrans locations. Rochelle has been with Caltrans for 4 years, and before Caltrans, her experience included 4 years in heavy-duty truck parts, 7 years in accounting with the County of Sacramento, and 10 years working for her family's heavy equipment repair, rental, and parts sales business. So thank you, Rochelle, for being here as well. We're thrilled to get going with these questions, ladies. Again, we appreciate you for being here. And Laura, I'll kick it over to you to start us with our questions.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Harriet. So yeah, first we'll start with Christy. If you want to tell us a little bit about your professional journey and your current role.
Sure, of course we start with me. Let's see. Like my bio said, I've been with the state for 13 years, largely in legislation. So it's interesting. I was actually speaking to someone about it today that I have no fleet equipment experience and landed in this role. However, largely a lot of my positions in the past, which is like project management, like I was my bio stated, project management, people management, that's really the skills necessary in strategic management and strategic communication. And I'm learning the rest. I think what is important is remembering that you don't know it all. And I kind of laugh at myself learning equipment and some of the terms, and I've never been really exposed to mechanics, and so learning it's entertaining and you have to laugh at yourself. So being in this role, I've had a fun transition, work with amazing people, and I'll tell a brief little story of, hopefully not to offend any of my Caltrans folks over here, but I'm a baby in the industry and I've worked at some pretty cool departments in my 13 years. My last one before this being cannabis, and I was writing legislation for cannabis, which is kind of exciting, right? And then it was kind of dying down over there. There wasn't as much work. I was getting kind of bored, so I was looking for a new position. And I saw Caltrans and I was like, Caltrans, like highways, maintaining highways. I wasn't too excited. I'm like, let's just give it a shot. Let's apply. So I got the job. And let me tell you, don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge a department by what you think they do, because you have no idea. Being in equipment, I've been exposed to some of the coolest people, most intelligent. I love working at equipment, watching them, our engineers, mechanics, building some awesome specialty equipment. And I would have never thought that that's what Caltrans was. So don't be like me and judge Caltrans.
I love that, Christy. Especially, this is part of why we're trying to expand on the perception of Caltrans, what we do, who we are, what we're about. So this is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right, so next up, how about Rochelle, you want to go next and tell us about your career journey here at Caltrans?
Yeah, thank you. I came from private industry. This is my very first state gig, except for the county, but that was a completely different animal over there. I came here, brought my experience mostly from owning the business and running the business with my family. I did, have heavy duty truck experience, and I was a culture shock coming here. I expected repair shop, and we're full on production, and it's so interesting, and the different parts that I get exposed to. And when I first started, I was actually loading the carts to take to the mechanics, and my kids were like, "Oh, Mom, did you help build that truck?" And I was like, "Yeah, I probably touched every part that's on that truck." So that's kind of cool. Now I actually purchase all of those, so it just rolls in from one into the other, and it's just, I'm happy to bring my talents that I learned from the business to here. And I'm very shop driven, and if my shops have what they need to keep going, then my job is actually being done appropriately. So yeah, I did, and I've raced since I was young, so I've kind of always been into parts and cars and that kind of thing, so that kind of helped. I didn't start out in parts, though. I went to school to be a veterinary technician and just never made it into that field. Went right into diesel truck parts, and that's kind of where I stayed.
Are you good, Laura? I just want to make sure I know you said you're having a little technical. You okay?
Yeah, I'm back now.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Sorry about that.
Thank you, Rochelle. Loved hearing about, just how it's kind of been ingrained in you the whole time, and kind of like similar to Christy, that, what you thought it was going to be, it was not. So that's pretty interesting. You both have that in common.
It ended up being a happy surprise.
Yeah, happy surprise. Exactly. That's awesome. So Laura, if you wanted to finish off, I know we're going to ask Dawn the same question.
Yeah, Dawn, so you're up next. We would love to hear, with all of your experience, your professional journey and what you're doing in your current role.
Okay, thanks, Laura and Harriet. And I'm really proud to be part of this team of women who work in the Division of Equipment. It's, you know, I wasn't the first woman executive to come into Division of Equipment. I also am not the first woman engineer in Division of Equipment. So I just wanted to let you all know that. But I do come in kind of as a unique executive here in Division of Equipment with a civil engineering background. Versus most of the engineers here in the division are mechanical engineers, of course, and then a few electricals as well. So it's kind of across the breadth of engineering classifications at Caltrans. And how I ended up here, it was funny listening to both of the panelists as well, because, you know, my story is kind of one of opportunity and being having those opportunities when I was ready to really take them, you know, really wanted to continue my career, continue to be relevant and be able to bring something to the table, add value, make a difference. Those are the things that kind of drove me into this position because it is such a new area of Caltrans. And I think my last boss was the one that said, you know, when we were kind of talking about whether or not you feel like you're one of those people who's an early adopter into the organization. And I kind of didn't see myself that way. But as I think through my career over 30 years, I would kind of say that I am, you know, I enjoy the challenge of something new, learning along the way and being part of the solution, the transportation solution for all of us. And so that's how I ended up in Division of Equipment. It was being in the right place at the right time, which sometimes is just what it takes, right? And, you know, I did start this journey over 30 years ago at Caltrans, thanks to people who emailed me from back in the day that I used to work with and say, oh, hey, Dawn, remember me? So that was kind of cool about doing this for Caltrans at this point in my career. I did start in traditional transportation engineering fields where I was in design and construction, traditionally designing highways and bridges. And then I realized about 10 years in, I had reached a point in my career, I was a senior engineer, where I thought, you know, I just kind of had a different perspective on life. I wanted to spend more time with my family, you know, and I made the decision to kind of take a step backwards. And I say backwards, but it's really kind of taking a step back from what I was doing prior to. And I still stayed with Caltrans ultimately, but for 10 years I worked part-time and I worked in project delivery and making sure that we would get all of our plan, specification, and estimate contracts out to advertisement. So I did that for a number of years. And I don't regret anything that I did at Caltrans along the way. It's worked out really, really well for me. So I did that, and then I just made this, you know, like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm this age, and what do I want to, what's left for me to do at Caltrans? Do I want to get back into the rat race, so to speak? And I made the decision to kind of look for opportunities in our headquarters programs in Caltrans, and I chose kind of an interesting path. I could have really stayed project delivery focused and been more on that side of the house for Caltrans. But I made the decision to do more program management and do things that a lot of engineers may not think about getting into. So the last 13 years has been dealing with our local programs, which was really interesting. I loved working across, you know, our local agencies and local roadways and how we can improve transportation for them, and got more into federal programming and federal funding, which a lot of engineers at Caltrans, it's something that they would be interested in. And then I ended up for the last 5 years in our headquarters asset management program, which was brand new to Caltrans when I got into it. And that was just an amazing experience, worked with some great people. So along the way, I just stayed open to that and really tried to think about how I could add value any place I went. And so that's how I ended up in Division of Equipment. Yeah, and just been happy to be part of the team, and I work with some really great people. It's very impressive, honestly, to be in an area that I really knew nothing about before I got into it as well. So
Thanks.
that's
Thanks
it.
so much, Dawn. That's so amazing. Your whole journey, the 30 years with Caltrans, is a true testament to like the endless opportunities. Super inspiring, I'm sure, for all of us and others that are watching. You know, I'm fairly new with Caltrans. Christy and Dawn, Christy and Rochelle, you know, are fairly new with Caltrans, but so many opportunities, and that's what we're hoping to, you know, include here in these webinars. So thank you so much, Dawn.
Yep.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Laura, I was just going to add to that as well. I was listening to Dawn and I was having the same thoughts as that. I've worked for quite a few departments, and I'm not just saying this because now I'm here at Caltrans, but honestly, Caltrans has been, just in the 2 years, the best department that I've worked for, and honestly, the one with the most opportunity. So it's a benefit that we're so large and have so many programs. There's so many places to go, and that's kind of how I landed in Division of Equipment. Was I worked with our division chief, Bob Myers, on some legislation, and in Leg Affairs, I worked with Clean California teams and many different divisions, and so I got to kind of network through and meet certain people, and then apply for this job, and it was just the right place, right time type of thing. But Caltrans by far offers the most opportunity, I believe.
Thank you so much for adding that, Christy. Absolutely agree with you 100%. It's an amazing organization to work for. There's just, you know, endless opportunities, endless pathways, just meeting and connecting with people. That's what this is all about. And just to show our pride for Caltrans. So thank you for adding that as well. All right. And so next up, we're going to kick it over to Harriet for the second question.
Yeah, I loved all of your answers. I love there was a lot of a people focus and kind of opportunity and kind of right place, right time, making those connections. So now I want to hear a little bit about the projects that you worked on. Anything in particular that you're particularly proud of? I won't start with you, Christy, since you called us out before. I'm going to start with Rochelle. So Rochelle, can you share any particular project that you've worked on that you're particularly proud of that you want to share with the audience today?
I have several projects that I'm working on. We have 4 production runs actively going right now. I have quite a few on the table that I'm ordering parts for. I think just the fact that I can make sure everything is there, and then when the truck starts running through, it's a seamless, mostly seamless. I mean, you have a few hiccups along the way, and I think you always will, but it's the fact that I can get handed a project, even if it's a last minute hot item, it didn't get included, but now we need it right now. And I can go get it. And when it shows up, that's my deal. It's like, that's what makes me happy. That makes me feel like I've succeeded. And so the projects in the shop, just any one of them, the trucks are so massive, some of them, and just to see them on the road, that's just huge for me. It's a little bit of pride. I mean, yeah, it's not mine, but it kind of is in my head anyway. But yeah, that's what I'm most proud of, is seeing the actual equipment on the road that I've helped to put on the road.
Yeah, I love you shared earlier about when you're driving down the freeway and you see a big vehicle and your kids are like, "Well, that's cool." And you're like, "Yeah, Mom has touched basically every little part of that truck." It's so crazy. And I love that you shared like every single project is a win for you. You're proud of every project in some way, shape, or form. That's so cool.
Yeah, those are, and my kids brag to their friends even.
That's cool.
So, yeah, it's kind of humbling because I'm not a boastful person at all. So when they start talking, I'm like, okay, that's enough. But
You're like, wait, actually, it is cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And then after it's over, I'm like, oh, well, yeah, it is kind of cool. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. All right, Dawn, we'll kick it to you now. I know you're working on the Zero Emission Fleet Program, which I'd love if you could share a little bit about that. It's super cool, how we're transitioning from fossil fuels to electric. But if there's anything else in particular you wanted to share about, please, the floor is yours.
Okay, yeah. So, you know, in my new role here, and I think that's important to talk about since this is Division of Equipment. You know, I was brought in, as I stated, into a brand new program for Caltrans. So, what's exciting about that is that, you know, we get to kind of set the stage for the future for Caltrans when it comes to really trying to reduce greenhouse gases across the state of California by going zero emission, and as far as what, you know, I'm here to do is support, you know, making sure that we can actually charge all of these electric vehicles as they come into the fleet. The challenge of the job, which, you know, engineers in general love to solve problems, and that's, I think, what we're really here to do is, you know, how can we turn the tide and make sure that our charging infrastructure is available for all of these electric vehicles coming in. So we need to turn the tide and get that infrastructure in place as soon as possible. And so my mission is to try to get that to happen, and through a number of different ways that we're looking at innovative project delivery processes. We're looking at getting some mobile charging solutions out to the districts to help out, and as well as a number of other things. It is challenging because it is brand new, but at the same time, it's fun too for me because I like being at the very beginning stages of something where you can kind of put your stamp on it, so to speak, you know, and what you think based on experience and based on and people that you get to learn have a lot of experience to share, and it's just it's a really good team environment. When it comes to the actual vehicle side of the house, we've got some great people within Division of Equipment that are really helping me as well establish this program, and providing insight into just how, you know, the procurement world works. As a state governmental agency, I didn't realize how complicated that was. We do have, I think there's an impression that this program is actually pretty simplistic, or, you know, may not be as, you know, need to be as big as it is with regards to providing the resources that are needed to do this. But in actuality, it's more than what we're resourced to do at this point in time. We have a lot of challenges ahead to ensure that we have the power available at all of our maintenance stations across the state. We have over 300 of them that we need to install fast charging infrastructure at, and we have to work across all of our utility providers in the state of California. And we're talking about not just PG&E that most of us know about, or Southern California Edison. I mean, we're talking about some of these little utility companies that are run by city governments, irrigation districts, things that you just never think about. It's like, oh gosh, I had no idea that maintenance station is located within a certain irrigation district, that they actually supply the power to the maintenance station. So, you know, there's a lot of those kinds of things we're working on right now, and putting in place for Caltrans employees. And that's the thing that is also different than maybe what you thought, because my office is not dealing with the public charging infrastructure that many of you guys may have heard of through the NEVI program, and putting public chargers every 50 miles along our highway systems, or critical, you know, highway systems like the interstates and major highways. This program is specifically for our own Caltrans employees, so that they can get from location to location and still be effective on the job, including just being able to maintain and operate our highway system, which is critical. And so that's why this is important. It's important to me. And you know, that's, I guess, what I would share at this point. I mean, I have a lot of other fun kind of facts about things that I've worked on, but I think staying within the Division of Equipment, yeah, that's kind of hopefully gives you enough insight into what I'm doing.
Yeah, really interesting, especially you touching on, it's not the public system. It's, you know, I just really interesting to see, and all the ins and outs that go into that program. So good for you leading the way and making this happen. But no, wanted to give you an opportunity. If there's something, maybe share one outside of equipment moment that you're proud of. Go ahead.
Oh, proud of? Oh, well, I don't know. I'm proud of a lot of different things I've worked on. You know, I think about some of the bridge design work that I did and, talking about Rochelle seeing big trucks on the road that she's, been able to supply parts for, work on, and how that's really, important to her. And she feels like, that's a really proud moment. I think for me, it'd be similar in some of the work that I did as an engineer. And, I worked on the first single point urban interchange design when I was a bridge designer down in Riverside County. When there was an earthquake in the Bay Area, it was the Loma Prieta, so that'll age me quite a bit. But I worked on the emergency replacement bridge that was going to be put in place when the Cypress Viaduct collapsed during that Loma Prieta earthquake. And so that was really exciting. It didn't get built because the district and stakeholders decided to realign the road. But at the time, it was, you just felt like you were part of this huge mission to be able to go out and rebuild infrastructure for all of California after something as devastating as that. So those are some of the kind of the proud moments I had in Caltrans.
Love it. Yeah, it's so impactful, the work that you all do. And I mean, everyone here at Caltrans, but just hearing, jumping on something like a natural disaster, that's huge. And just one of the many facets of what you do. So thank you for sharing, and it's awesome to hear your proud moment. So thank you. Christy, would you like to share one of your proud moments?
Sure. I will say the one I'll speak on is, although I don't know if I'm supposed to speak on it yet, but I'm going to anyways because it's proud and that's what I do. I push boundaries. So our shop, our headquarters shop, they worked really hard all through COVID. Kind of in my role, what happens is, somebody started a mission on trying to get our whole headquarters shop Superior Accomplishment Awards on something, and it was denied. And then so I kind of don't, like Bob, don't take no for an answer. And so it's just about how you repackage something up and rewrite it and tie a bow on it. And so we were able to award the entire shop with their Superior Accomplishment Awards for all the work that they did, going above and beyond through the year or two that COVID really impacted the shop, and everybody else went home, and they were kind of stuck here to deal with all the fears of COVID and whatnot. So that was really cool, being able to present that and really reward them. It was a small thank you. There's not a whole lot we can do with the state, but what we can do, we'll fight for it. And my favorite part of that is surprising everybody with like donuts and balloons, because I know that it's a bunch of men in there, but a balloon or two hanging does liven up the area, whether they want to admit it or not, and donuts. And so I like to bring like a little bit of spunk and just the excitement, so I like that celebration. Let's celebrate our people. They all deserve it. There's amazing work that they do. So that's one of the like highlight moments. There's a couple other, and it usually has to do with writing justifications on why we were told no and why we need to do it anyways. So that's a lot of my work. It's like, we do need this and here's why. And we were able to get Rams, which are not normally on our list, that we're able to purchase. So that was another highlight. And that was early when I started with Division of Equipment. And what's kind of cool about that is because some of those projects, it's like, that's never going to happen, or they're going to say no. And I go, watch me. And so I just keep writing it and fixing it. And they say no. Okay, what do I need to fix? And come back and do it until we finally get it. And so I like to prove people wrong.
Nice. I mean, you're a people manager after all, right? Like, I love that
Right.
one of your proud moments was being proud of the team. That's
Yeah.
really cool. That speaks a lot to your values and how you lead. And so that's really cool that you would bring that up. I know it. And like you said, everyone loves balloons. Doesn't matter who you are. Balloons
Yeah.
go a long way. And
Some
donuts, I
will-
mean,
Some will disagree. Bob and I have a little bit of a debate about that. They're like, they're mechanics. They don't need balloons. I'm like, they don't know that. They need balloons. They do.
that's some nostalgia for everyone, right? Awesome. Thank you all for sharing your proud moments. That was really, really awesome to hear. Laura's going to kick us off with our next question.
Yeah, so maybe this time we'll start with Dawn. Share any kind of barriers or challenges you've had as a woman in a male-dominated field?
Yeah, so I kind of knew you guys were going to ask this question. So thinking about, that in general, really, I can't say that I had barriers along the way. At least I never felt that way. Coming into a male-dominated profession like engineering and Caltrans, I was kind of, it wasn't going to be a surprise to me. So coming out of college, I was one of 2 women that was in my graduating class. So, right there, you're actually studying with men and being part of, a group of people to, to build relationships with and to, eventually get your degree. And then as I moved into, the professional world, my first manager was a woman. The senior engineer I worked for was a woman. And I've worked for multiple managers that have been women. So I don't necessarily think that, I never saw that as a challenge for myself. And I also, of course, there's perceptions out there and, you face those. I think that it's how you respond and how you can, and kind of what your value system is and what people eventually, as you work alongside them and, if you're a hard worker and you get the work done, ultimately, it really doesn't matter. And that's kind of been what I can say throughout my career has been like that. So maybe I'm just lucky, but I would hope that, Caltrans is a place now. I think Christy is really good about communicating this, is that we're much more people oriented now. And that's important to me as well. And probably why I've stayed at Caltrans as long as I have. So I have seen the, organization change over time, but as far as me personally feeling that I had any barriers, I don't think I have that to share with you guys today. So maybe the other women on the panel might have other things to bring up on that.
All right, thanks. I really like what you're saying about just, how it was a matter of how you're responding to the perceptions and just the way that you were going about your own business and just taking care of business and making sure you're paving your own way, paving your own path, and just doing your thing and making sure that you had space for yourself there and that you belong there. So that was an awesome story to share. How about you, Christy? We'll go with you next. Any challenges, barriers you want to share?
So, yeah, so I kind of mimic Dawn there in the sense when it comes to women in the field. I personally haven't experienced it. I've seen others around me experience that, but for me personally, anything like that just drives me to prove people wrong. I kind of already touched on that a little bit. And then I also believe that there's certain people in this world that are just jerks. It doesn't matter who you are, they're just a jerk. And so you have to deal with people, of all walks of life and all personality traits. And it's about managing that and not taking everything so seriously or personally. That's that doesn't fit every case, but that's me. What I have experienced, and I find this interesting to bring up, is I did not have a degree. So I have an AA degree. I went to college for a little bit, But when I was hired, not in my position now, but when I was working with Ledge Affairs, all extremely intelligent folks, everybody around me had a degree. And I remember that used to bother me a little bit, right? Because you're working and especially here with so many engineers and so many, people with degrees, and you're around it all the time. But I remember at one point, a manager said to me, "Wait a minute, you don't have a degree?" And I went, "No." And they were like, "I would have never known." And as I was leaving that position, he said to me, "Christy, you've really opened my eyes on, I used to hold a lot of weight on people with degrees, and you've opened my eyes to that just shouldn't be the case." Because I was able to hold my own without that degree. So coming into equipment, I'm lucky there's some other folks around me who don't either, but it's about knowing your worth and your confidence, whether you have that or not. And so that's not always, doesn't come naturally sometimes, but I know that I'm completely capable without that. And I have a lot of hands-on experience that I've gained through the ranks of being with the state and for 13 years and working with executives. So I have that confidence and some days I lose it and some days it comes back, I'm not perfect, but I think that is where I found the most challenge, whether than being a woman, but being degreeless.
That's fair. Yeah. And I really appreciate you sharing that, just because that is a perception that a lot of people think about working in government, coming to Caltrans thinking that you need, a certain type of degree for certain positions. There's so many opportunities that you don't need a degree, and there's so many pathways in that a lot of people don't know about. So it's awesome to share that with everybody here. That's something we definitely want to send a message about. I am also, just reminds me too, I'm going to throw in the chat an email for our recruitment team, just in case anybody has questions on those type of, inquiries about degrees and the classifications and things like that. We have an awesome recruitment team that can assist with that. But sometimes you just don't know until you go for it and you start asking questions and you start just kind of getting into the meat and potatoes of everything and just trying to show your drive. And so I appreciate what you're just sharing with that, Christy. Super awesome. All right, next. So Rochelle.
Can I just say something? I just wanted to just back up, I think, what Christy is saying as well. So throughout my career, I would say some of the best engineers I've ever worked for are those that came up the ranks as technicians, did not have degrees, but they were able to pass the professional engineering exam because they were able to, it's all about perseverance and being able to do it. And those are some of the best engineers that I've worked for. And I noticed a comment from somebody that knows also people within Caltrans that have done that. And so anyway, just wanted to bring that up because I've worked with many that have gone that path, and they've been great to work with. So
absolutely. So many different pathways that are available. Thank you for adding that in, Dawn. All right, so Rochelle, any challenges or barriers, anything you want to share on this topic?
I think being in parts, it's going to be par for the course. I'm always going to have some kind of barrier because parts is parts, and they usually attribute that with a man, which is fine with me. I started racing cars when I was 9, and there was not a lot of women in it then. That was way before Danica Patrick. So I didn't really notice it then, but now looking back on it now, I was like, oh, that's what that was. And then my very first real job, I call it, was delivering diesel truck parts. I was in my young 20s, and there was a lot of customers when I'd have something super heavy, they're like, oh yeah, bring it in. And it's like, okay, and so I kind of was like, I took it more of a, yes, I can do my job and I'm going to show you that, not to get to them, but more for me. Yes, I can do my job no matter what anybody says. And it's just, and I've come into it at different places. When we had the business, there was actually different cultures because of our customers. We're like, oh, you have a woman in here? And it's like, well, yeah. So it's just those little things, and it doesn't bother me. It just pushes me to work harder and be better at my job. And it was something that I knew from the get-go that I was always going to have to be personally better than somebody else just to make sure that I was okay. And so I use it just like the other ladies do, is for me to be better at my job. And so it doesn't I don't look at it as a challenge anymore. I realize that's what it is, but I don't look at it that way.
Awesome. I really like everybody's answers here, just the confidence that you all have, just spoken to, and just like the drive to really show that you belong there where you're at. And if it matters, if you have to prove that or not, but just the confidence that you guys carry, and then just really, doing the work and showing that, you deserve to be there. So thank you so much for all of your answers on that. And next, I'm going to kick it over to Harriet.
Thanks, Laura. Yeah, just to reiterate, like the resilience, you all three, it's like, they're not challenges, they're not barriers, it's just a way to push ourselves and prove ourselves and get on with it. I love it. It's really inspiring. So thank you all for your different stories and messages on that question. So our final question from our office, and then we will kick it over to our questions and answers. So again, Laura's been messaging in the chat, but if you did have any questions, feel free to throw them in now, because we're going to get to our Q&A in just a minute. So our final question is, what is your why? Why Caltrans? Why this field? What motivates you? What is your why? So we'll start with Dawn.
Oh gosh, okay, me again.
Yes.
Caltrans. So I could say early on I came to Caltrans because, I was a student in another state agency, and I was just really bored, and I was like, this is not going to cut it. It was actually in a completely different field of civil engineering as well. And so when I started looking for opportunities, I knew I kind of wanted to be at the state. And to be honest, I don't even remember why I thought that at the time, but I do remember with Caltrans' 2-year training program for engineers that I was really interested in that. And I thought, gosh, Caltrans is going to train me, and, I get to work. I mean, I accepted a job for Caltrans where I could work all over the state of California. And I thought, oh gosh, this is right up my alley. So, so that's how I ended up in Caltrans. And then why Caltrans today is because I think Caltrans being, I think being around enough and long enough, you've heard the story that, Caltrans is so big, there's over 20,000 people, and it's really hard to get change to happen within an organization so large. And, that is true, but I can attest to the fact that we have changed as an organization, and I think we continue to get better in the ways that I think that Caltrans needs to get better, becoming more people-centric. The work-life balance is really, really important to me, and I think for a lot of people at Caltrans, and I think that is possible. I think, of course, teleworking is a great thing, and I know not everybody gets to do that. But at the end of the day, I think that we're putting in place certain policies that allow more flexibility for women, knowing that your family is really important when you get home from your job after a long day at work. Are you going to come back home in a good mood? How are you going to, what is really your why is being able to do that. And for me anyways, that was important. And so that's why I think Caltrans is a great place. And also, it's not a place, if you get bored or stagnant, or you don't think that you're the right fit for a specific job that maybe you've been doing for a while, by all means, again, what I said before, seek out those opportunities and move on. And I think if you're a hard worker and do your job, you will find a place, and you'll be able to continue on your path, and whatever that career path happens to be. So that's it.
Love it. Sounds like many, many reasons for why you're here. And we're so glad you're here and bringing all those different perspectives and all your experience and your great mindset. So thank you, Dawn. Thank you. Thank you for being at Caltrans, and thank you for being here today.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it.
All right. So next, I'm going to go for Rochelle. What's your why?
Mine was kind of funky. I found myself as a single mom, and I had to run out and find a job because obviously single mom, now the family business is not an option anymore. And so I bounced to a couple different companies, and then I was always on the list here. And I had kind of ignored a couple of opportunities to interview, and then the other ones kind of fell through. So I was like, okay, let's go for this. So, and I actually ended up getting it. I was pretty shocked that I got it on my first try, and I was very excited. And then after I started here, now my why is like what Dawn said, it's the opportunity. I've only been here 4 years and I've already received one promotion, which is the job I'm in now. There's so many opportunities now that I'm seeing it, and there's out of classes, there's promotions, there's different districts. So my why now is that the stability for myself and my family and the opportunities that I'm going to be able to get just because I'm an employee here.
Awesome. I love that. I love the motivation, obviously from the personal side, and then you're seeing the opportunity that's kept you around. And that's really, really inspiring. Thank you, Rochelle. And congratulations on your promotion. And we hope you keep moving on up and doing great things. So fantastic. Fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a manager. I had no intentions on promoting, and a manager was amazing. And basically, for better lack of terms, he looked at me and goes, "What are you doing?" He goes, "You don't belong in that seat." So yeah, otherwise I never would have went for the promotion.
Love it. And oftentimes that's so the case. We don't see ourselves in those leadership roles. And then it takes one person, one mentor, one coworker to say, hey, you're more than that. And I love that you found that here. So that's really great to hear. Thank you for sharing. Christy, what's your why?
Oh, there's a lot of them, but it all kind of sums up to I'm not just content, I'm happy in my job. I like what I do. I like the people I work with. The ideas are endless of, I have so much that I want to accomplish with this team. I'm a strong believer in, if you feel stagnant and you are a go-getter and you're stuck in that rut, apply. Look elsewhere. I know I have a twin sister and she works for the state too, and she was going through a rut, and I bounced in moving jobs when COVID hit and this whole WebEx thing. It was challenging. We weren't used to, the meeting face to face is very different. And so I was like, oh, I'm scared to look for a job during COVID. Trying to blend with a team on WebEx, it's very different. So anyways, I did, and obviously me being here today, it was successful. I worked in Ledge Affairs for 7 months and then promoted here. So it happened pretty quick, but my sister was like, you inspired me. And so she's like, I don't have to stay stagnant in this position where I'm not happy because she doesn't want to leave them hanging or that kind of thing. Your job has to be a fit for both sides. It's not just a fit for you. It's not just a fit for your manager. So remember that too. It's like, are you happy there? Because if it's not working both ways, then it's probably best you move on. And some people just need a different environment. It may just not be the right job. So my why is I'm not going anywhere. Division of Equipment is stuck with me. And who knows where I'll be in 20 years, but right now I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be at.
That's awesome. Love it.
Yeah, I love that. That was great.
Really inspiring words from all three of you. Thank you so, so much. Those are all the questions that we have from our office. We did have a couple will come in, and then I'm going to kick it over to Laura to read any from the chat that we got in, but we've also got some other ones here as well.
Yeah, so I have a question here for any of the panelists who want to take this one on. Someone is asking, why are the trucks being replaced with smaller vehicles?
Yes, I'll take that one. I'll take that one. So I can't necessarily speak to that right now without digging in, but we go through a whole fleet acquisition plan to see what vehicles, and there's representatives from each division. So it may be a matter of somebody sitting at the table. They didn't pick the right vehicle. We go through a whole long process to make sure you guys are getting what you want. So with that being said, I'm just going to keep it brief there. But go ahead, and I think you'll get, there it is, Ask Equipment at dot.ca.gov. Go ahead and send an email over to that inbox, and we'll make sure to take a look at your question and see if we can get some sort of solution and reason or way to fix it in the future.
Thanks, Christy. I have another question. It might be fall alignment with that last one, but I'll go ahead and put that out there. The next one is my old truck, an F-150 in construction, was just replaced with a much larger gasoline truck. I was happy with the old one. I was told the shop retired it. Were larger gasoline trucks purchased?
Again, I'll have you email me at askequipment@dot.ca.gov, and we can take a look at that. But right now I can't, I would have to dive into that to be able to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to throw that into the chat right now as well. I'm going to put the 3 contact emails for anybody that is here.
So just to follow up on that too, you know, we do have a ZEV first policy though. So I know when we go through that fleet acquisition plan, that has to be reviewed along with any of the other types of vehicles we're replacing. So in your particular case, yeah, we would have to look into that further. I think Christy's right on why that decision was made. It's, believe it or not, it's actually kind of complicated. I was over that unit for a few months while they were coming up with the permanent hire over the Clean Fleet unit who's in charge of that. And I was actually very surprised at how much goes into a fleet acquisition plan for the department and the types and numbers of vehicles that we're replacing on a yearly basis. So anyways.
Currently, Caltrans, we have to get approval to replace any vehicle and then also approval to purchase that vehicle. So there's extensive rules, regulations, protocols, mandates with DGS. So it's not as simple as it may seem sometimes. But then again, that's why we all have jobs. So there's a lot that goes into this.
Yeah, and you know, I wanted to just say one thing more about that too, is that I'm, you know, with the amount of different positions I've had, because I'm always like, God, how come Caltrans has so many people, right? It's like, oh, there's some inefficiency there. Let's just, you know, maybe downsize a little bit more. But I always go into the positions going, oh my gosh, now I get why there's so many of us at Caltrans. I just had to make that comment because that's just been my kind of experience. There's a lot of regulations in what Caltrans does for sure. So.
All right, awesome. Thank you both. So I have another question here. It says, I'd love to know who were these women's mentors and how we can find our own mentors. Is it a matter of cultivating a relationship with your manager and being honest about what you want for your future? Anybody want to answer that one?
Great question.
Yeah.
I did have that manager end up being a mentor. It could be a manager. It doesn't necessarily have to be. I've had, back when I was racing, it was maybe a really good friend's dad. And then you find heroes along the way. It's just, it was kind of hard when I came here because I didn't know what to expect. But I found out that you just get into a position and all of a sudden, boom, they're there. It's hard to explain. Like our superintendent here, I did an out of class and I was basically working directly with him for a while, and he was very, very significant for my out of class portion, and he still is. So I think it's just a matter of go through the process and you kind of find them. This is going to be a bad reference, but it's kind of like Easter eggs, I want to say. So you never know where you're going to find, to me anyway, you never know where you're going to find them. They just kind of pop up.
That's super cute. That's super cute, and I'll second that. I mean, throughout my career, it was kind of me just building a relationship with those that I aspired to be like. So when I worked at victims compensation, there was a deputy, and she kind of took me under her wing, and we just built that relationship. And I think you'll find those people throughout your career if you're looking for that and want to keep that personal growth. And then another thing I was going to say is people just have that in them sometimes. Like early on when I had my first managing position, actually earlier than that. I think I was like an AGPA, and I was helping a lot of the office technicians study for the SSA test and walking them through what to do. And I just found myself in that position, helping a group of them. And I think I just gravitated towards wanting to see others succeed who wanted it. And as we know, the state's not always the easiest place to navigate. And so I think just keeping your eyes open and finding those people and then building the connection, and it usually happens naturally.
I like that. Thank you, Christy.
Yeah, and I just saw in the chat, and I was going to mention it as well, is Caltrans does have a mentoring program if it's still ongoing. I know it was pretty active for a number of years, so that is available, I believe.
Yes, Dawn, thank you. I was going to mention that.
Yeah.
It's actually in Human Resources, we run the statewide mentorship program. So those of you externally who don't know, we do have a statewide mentorship program that can be done remotely. So we connect people all over, no matter your geographic location, and it's a great opportunity to seek out skill sets and also share skill sets. That's one thing. I used to work with the mentorship team, and that was the big thing that we promote is everyone can be a mentor. Everyone has something to offer. Even if you think you don't, so even if you're remotely interested, do attend some of their upcoming introductions and informational sessions, because you'll surprise yourself, put it that way. You'll surprise yourself. And Jean and Sulema, who run the program, are awesome, and they will be happy to support you. So thank you for the plug for that, Dawn. I was just about to throw that in too. So we will include information on the mentorship program as well, so you all can learn more about that. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that too, so I'm glad you did. Any other questions though, Laura?
There's a
We have
few.
time for...
I think there's a few more in there. I don't know if we have time to get to them all. They're a little bit more in detail.
There's one that has what kind of training stands out, and then the other ones are equipment focused. So I can just ask if you can email Ask Equipment with those questions. We'll be happy to look into it.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, and if there's any additional questions, as Christy said, any questions for the panelists, please feel free to email askequipment@dot.ca.gov. And if you have any questions for us, for Laura and myself, we're interested in what you are interested in. This is the first of many, the CT Talk series. I think this one was a great, inspiring kickoff. So thank you again, ladies. This was amazing. Really, I mean, the comments are speak for themselves, right? Just you really have inspired people today, and really brilliant. So thank you. But if you or anyone you know is interested in either being a part of this, those of you that are attending that are within Caltrans, or if you are interested in a certain division or area of Caltrans, shoot us an email at dhr.communications@dot.ca.gov. We would love to hear from you. I also have there at the bottom, your feedback is really appreciated. There's a short survey that will pop up after this webinar ends. We would love, love, love just if you take a couple of minutes just to answer that for us so we can continue this momentum and keep every single one as amazing as this one has been. And Laura, did you want to share a little bit about episode 2 that's going to be coming next month?
Yeah, absolutely. So in this last couple of minutes, it's really excited to share in September 26th, the next webinar will be about the internships, and we will have 3 panelists. One will be a current intern who's in archaeology and GIS. The other current intern is in civil engineering. And then the third panelist is going to be a former civil engineer intern who is now a branch chief. So it's going to be really exciting. We're hoping that they will share their personal stories about internships with Caltrans, all those opportunities, and showing how you can start as an intern and work your way up the career ladder. So that will be happening September 26th. So just stay tuned. We look forward to reaching out and sending this information out through emails. We'll be putting it up on social media with our channels, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. It's going to be open for everybody, externally, internally. So if you know anybody that's interested in those topics, definitely invite them.
Awesome. And thank
so
you
much,
again.
Laura and Harriet. Thank you
Yeah.
guys.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks a
I
lot.
really can't thank you all enough. I want to add, so everyone knows, these 3 ladies, Dawn, Christy, Rochelle, you've been engaged with this from the get-go. So we can't thank you enough for not being as reluctant as we were expecting panelists to be like, oh, this is an external webinar. I don't know about this. You guys from the get-go like, yeah, let's do this. And every time we
Super
met, you
fun.
were so supportive and engaged in it. So thank you for you, for your engagement in it, and for all your phenomenal information today. Really, really appreciate you all, and thank you for being great assets to Caltrans. So thank you.
A lot of great comments in there as well for you, for the panelists as well, that you guys have been inspiring and just really like your positive mindset. So a lot of good feedback. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good
Bye.
day.
Let everyone head off on their day. As a reminder, this was recorded, so we'll be sending out the recording, and we'll have that available as well for people to view on our website internally. Externally, you will receive that email. So thank you again for everyone attending. Thank you to our panelists. Thank you, Laura. This was
Thanks,
a huge
Harriet.
success for
Thanks,
us.
everybody. Have a good day.
Have a great day, everyone.